All right. Well, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Kol Hadash. It's a wonderful pleasure to have you here this evening. And many of us were here last Sunday to celebrate our Rabbi Emeritus, Daniel Friedman. But tonight, this is a space for thinking about what the connection we have to each other is all about. I'll be talking about how we create community, and we'll learn for examples in two very different walks of life, as you'll see. But the service tonight is about our connections to the Jewish people. We are all part of that extended Jewish family. And so we'll start on page 1 of your service booklet with a nigun. And nigun is the Hebrew word for melody. In Eastern European Jewish culture, the idea developed that you could sing a song with words, but then you would let the words fade away into simply singing a melody with nonsense sounds, but you would still have that connection to each other and that connection to our tradition and culture. So our nigun that we usually use on Shabbat is bim bam, bim 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 bam. But if you just get familiar with the melody, you'll be fine to pick up the song as well. The second part of the song, we wish each other Shabbat Shalom, a peaceful time at the end of the week. So as you feel comfortable, please join me. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam. Just hum. Shabbat celebrates our connection to the Jewish people. The Jewish people gathers for special occasions. On the New Year or Passover or Hanukkah, we are part of a community greater than ourselves. Every week we can celebrate Shabbat together and feel the same connection. Life is made sweeter by personal connections and by special celebrations. Shabbat is a time for both. As we sing Baruch HaOr, Let Us Light These Lights, I invite our onig hosts this evening, Alex and Bill Brook, to come forward to light our Shabbat candles. Please feel free to join in singing.
Baruch HaOr, Baruch HaOr Shabbat, Baruch HaOr Shalom, Baruch HaOr, Baruch HaOr Shabbat, Baruch HaOr Shalom. Let us light these lights and see the way to joy, and let us say Ahava. Let us light these lights and see the way to joy, and let us say Simcha. Let us light these lights and see the way to love, and let us say Ahava. Let us light these lights and see the way to peace, and let us say Shalom. And let us say Shalom. Very sorry, everybody.
We've only done it 10,000 times. When we share wine together, we feel a connection to the natural world and to other people, but also to the community with which we share that wine. The idea of breaking bread, sharing sustenance together is an important way of forging community. And so as we share our wine this evening, we can feel that connection to each other and to those beyond this space in the Jewish world who are using wine to mark the beginning of Shabbat. I'll sing our blessing in Hebrew. Feel free to join me, and we can also say the English all together. Savri Marnan V'Rabbanan De Etmol Kidashnu Et Hayayin Savri Marnan V'Rabbanan De Hayom Baruchim Bori Pri Hagafen HaShabbat Mesamchenu HaShabbat Merapenu Legufotenu Lenafshotenu HaShabbat Me'ashrenu Baruchim HaShomrim Et Yom HaShabbat. In English together. The rabbis and sages of old proclaimed, we sanctify this wine. The rabbis and sages of today proclaim, blessed is the fruit of the vine. The Shabbat makes us joyful. The Shabbat heals us in body and in spirit. The Shabbat enriches us. Blessed are those who keep the Shabbat. L'chaim, l'chaim, to life. And now a traditional song to welcome Shabbat called Lecha Dodi, imagining the Shabbat as a bride and the people of Israel as the groom.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nakabla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nakabla. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom amovora. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom amovora. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nakabla.
The Jewish family is our family. Every family, every people is unique. Every group has special talents and wisdom and experience. Celebrating the Jewish people is not a claim of superiority. Our roots are important to us, and pride in our roots is a healthy emotion. The Jewish people has experienced the best and the worst that the world can offer. The Jewish people has learned the worst and the best of human emotions and moral behavior. And through all of it, the Jewish people has remained a people and has survived. The Jewish people lives. Please say with me, the Jewish people lives.
Yisrael, Yisrael, Ami Yisrael, Am Yisrael chai v'kayam. Yisrael, Yisrael, Ami Yisrael, Am Yisrael chai v'kayam. Am Yisrael chai, Am Yisrael chai, Am Yisrael chai v'kayam. Am Yisrael chai, Am Yisrael chai, Am Yisrael chai v'kayam.
Humanistic Judaism is a product of Jewish history. In the beginning, the Jewish people saw themselves as a chosen people. They believed that piety would lead to good treatment by the universe. The keys to their survival were righteous belief, religious belief, and action. And the solutions to their problems were prayer and community. The wicked would suffer, and the righteous would be rewarded. The course of human history, especially Jewish history, has challenged this belief. The universe does not share our moral agenda, as the wicked survive and the innocent suffer unjustly. The traumas of Jewish history are our star witness. If the universe does not care about justice, we must create it. If the fates are indifferent to human suffering, we must respond. If Jewish history has taught us anything, it has taught us the importance of human action and human responsibility. Let us live that lesson. Together, the Jewish people lives.
Na'aseh shalom ba'olam, na'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam, ve'imru shalom, na'aseh shalom, na'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Na'aseh shalom, na'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'yachol ha'olam. Na'aseh shalom, na'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'yachol ha'olam. Na'aseh shalom, na'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'yachol ha'olam. Na'aseh shalom, na'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu mi'achol ha'olam. Na'aseh shalom, na'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'yachol.
Our first language is our mother tongue. At birth, we can learn any language on earth. Soon after, we learn the language sounds we hear every day, the language that expresses our thoughts and our dreams. In the lifetime of the Jewish people, we have spoken many languages. We have adopted native languages in our own way. By writing new sounds in familiar Hebrew letters, we created new words and new stories. Through it all, we continued to teach and to learn the building blocks of Jewish expression, the Hebrew Aleph Bet.
Oifen prepechok brennt auf Feuer und in Stubi sees und der Rebel entkleine Kinder nach dem Olivebees und der Rebel entkleine Kinder nach dem Olivebees. Solche Kinderlach Gedenke Teile, was du lernen da. Sucht noch einmal und Tag noch einmal, kommet alle vor. Sucht noch einmal und Tag noch einmal, kommet alle vor. By the fireside where the embers glow through the wintry days, there the teacher softly with the little ones chants the olive bays. There the teacher softly with the little ones chants the Aleph bass. Learn your lessons well, remember precious ones, the letters of the law. Chant ye once again, and yet once again, comets olive or. Chant ye once again, and yet once again, comets olive or.
The Jewish people is not only roots and a tradition. The Jewish people is hope for the future. We have survived many centuries, and we have constantly changed to meet new challenges. There have been times when our future looked bleak, with little hope of success. At those times, our strength lay in our power to hope. Hope is the ability to look to the future, to see what may be, and to make it happen. As Herzl said, if you will it, it is no dream. If you're comfortable standing and choose to stand for the singing of Hatikva, you're welcome to stand at this time. Thank you. Please be seated. This poem, A Song of Praise, a Shir Hallel, by Yehuda Amichai, talks about the kinds of memory that are part of the Jewish tradition, but also part of the human experience. I'd like to read this poem first in Hebrew and then in English. Shir Hallel. אני רוצה לשיר, שיר הלל, לכל מה שנשאר פה איתנו, ולא עוזב, ולא נודד כציפורי הנדוד, ולא בורח צפונה ולא דרומה, ולא שר, ליבי במזרח ואנוכי בקצה מערב. אני רוצה לשיר לעצים שאינם משליכים את עליהם, וסובלים להט קיץ וקור חורף, ולבני אדם שאינם משליכים את זיכרונותיהם, וסובלים יותר מבני אדם שמשליכים הכל. אבל מעל הכל, אני רוצה לשיר שיר הלל לאוהבים, שנשארים יחדיו לשמחה ולצער ולשמחה. לעשות בית, לעשות ילדים עכשיו ובעונות האחרות. A song of praise. I want to sing a song of praise to all that remains here with us and does not leave, and does not wander like the migrating birds, and does not flee to the north and not to the south, and does not sing, my heart is in the east and I am at the edge of the west. I want to sing to the trees that do not throw out their leaves, and withstand the blaze of summer and the cold of winter, and to those people who do not throw out their memories, and withstand more than those people who throw out everything. But above all, I want to sing a song of praise to lovers who remain together for joy and for pain and for joy, to make a home, to make children, now and for the other seasons. If you're comfortable standing, could you please rise? In Jewish life and in our congregation, we create space in every celebration for the power of memory and the power of love. The end of a life does not end a loving connection, it merely transforms it in our hearts and in our lives. We learn to love without presence, without touch, without smile, and they live on in our memories and the impact they had in the world. And so each of you may have a name or a face whose memory comes to you in this season or simply comes to mind when you think of those loved ones who are gone. I invite us to hold those names, those faces in our hearts, and to pause for a moment of silent tribute. In Jewish life, we say, Zecher tzadikim livracha, the memory of good people is a blessing to us. Please be seated as these words are sung.
Is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone.
How do you create a religious community if you're trying to do it on purpose? Well, at Kol Hadash, we have a slightly different challenge. How do you create an irreligious community? Because we don't have the fear of God or divine commandments or unquestionable authority to organize things, unfortunately. Now, in either case, a religious or an irreligious community, it would be much easier to organize people if it weren't for all the people. After all, people have egos. People have emotional and psychological complexity. People have personalities. People have preferences. After all, try to find one thermostat setting that makes everybody happy. Or try to find a restaurant with one entree on the menu. They exist, but very rare. If we at Kol Hadash want to create community, modeled on a religious community, but for not that religious people, we want to meet the needs that religions meet, then we have to understand how to build community out of real people. It's not just an abstract process. Earlier this week, I went to a baseball game. And one of the reasons that people go to major sporting events and music concerts and art exhibitions, they go despite the traffic, despite the heat, despite the expense, they go to feel community, to feel connected to other people and surrounded by other people. In many ways, sports are like a religion. And so maybe we can learn something from what they do well. So a couple examples of what makes a sport like a religion. Well, sports have shrines and meccas to which the devotees make a pilgrimage. A lot of people make family memories at baseball parks. I grew up in Detroit when Tiger Stadium was the main stadium there. And whenever I go to Wrigley Field, it reminds me of games with my father at the old Tiger Stadium, including the obstructed view poles, because that was built in the same era and has a similar kind of feel to it. Now, if you have a religious shrine that people make a pilgrimage to, for some people, going to Wrigley Field, going to the Hall of Fame, these are important locations that have emotional weight to them. The point for us is not that we need to build a shrine somewhere and make a pilgrimage. Although we have done learning trips with Kol Hadash to Jewishly important places, and that's been a bonding experience for those who go. But even more important is when you regularly meet in a place, you want to find a way to make it your own, to build community memories in that space. If you're always renting a different place every week or in a different person's home every week, it doesn't have that sense of familiarity, that sense that this place is ours. So have a place. That's one lesson from sports. Another lesson that makes sports like religion is that sports have rituals. They have group cheers. There are certain moments you stand and certain moments you sit all together. When you're dun, 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 take me out to the ball game, everybody stands. And what was amusing about the baseball game I went to see the Detroit Tigers play, even though it was in the White Sox stadium. And for that moment, everybody was cheering the same. The 40% that were Detroit fans and the 60% that were White Sox fans, we all stood up and we were all singing the same song until it was root, root, root for the, and then we had a disagreement. But we were able to sing together anyways. The point is that sports fans know the rituals. They know when to stand, they know when to sit, they know what is meaningful to them in that way. They even have curses and occasional exorcisms. Do you remember the Bartman foul ball? Right? That 2003 Chicago Cubs playoff game where someone interfered and it possibly cost them the game. Later on, that ball was sold at auction for $100,000. And do you know what the new owner did with the ball? He exploded it. He blew it up to get rid of the curse because there was some bad juju about that ball and he needed to get rid of it. Of course, players are very superstitious. They'll pray and cross themselves on the field. They thank God for their successes, even though God doesn't get blamed for the failures that they have. Once in a while, you'll get somebody who gets mad and then regrets the tweet they send out. But in general, God gets the credit, but not the demerit. Now, the magic power side of this is not particularly appealing to humanistic Jews. But we too have our rituals where we stand at the same time and we sit at the same time and we recite words together. We feel connected to each other. And maybe there's also a place, if it's not praying to something supernatural, it's expressing our shared hopes, our fears, our emotional connection to the future, whatever it might be. Fans watch games from thousands of miles away. And they know that yelling doesn't change what happens on the field. In theory, if you're in the ballpark and you're yelling, it could influence something. But watching the sport from thousands of miles away, or even hundreds of miles away, it's hard to resist the temptation to cheer or to boo or to yell, "Get in the hole," if you're watching golf. The reality is that the ball is not going to be caught or dropped based on what you say, but it's almost like praying. You want it to happen, you're willing it to happen. And some people think, if I leave the room at the right time, maybe something good will happen. Or if I don't leave the room at the right time, something bad. Okay. Now, I don't know what people on Zoom do when they're watching our services from tens, hundreds, thousands of miles away. Maybe they stand, maybe they sit when we do, maybe they don't, I don't know. Maybe they speak and sing when we do together to feel connected, but they can feel connected from any distance by experiencing our service now online. In sports, the best athletes seek sports immortality. It's not a real immortality, of course, like religion, which isn't a real immortality either. But sports immortality is finding a place in the Hall of Fame. It's a modern-day Elysian fields where the bravest Greek heroes lived forever. What does the Hall of Fame collect? It collects the modern holy relics, not pieces of the true cross or things from the Western Wall. The Hall of Fame displays the helmets, the jerseys, the bloody socks of the heroes who have done marvelous things, stained by the sweat and blood of the martyrs and the saints, visited by pilgrims who gaze at this object in wonder. I remember when I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I thought, another guitar? Because there's all these guitars and all these outfits. Here's a picture of the singer in the outfit, and here's the outfit. Okay? I'm not a rock aficionado in that way, but the Baseball Hall of Fame, oh, the bloody sock, oh, that was meaningful. We celebrate in Jewish life and in humanistic Jewish life our cultural heirlooms. We reflect and respect the great and important leaders of the past. We value our founding figures and a continuity of their ideas in our own days. And in our case, what makes them special is nothing supernatural. It's made special by our own emotional attachment and investment. They are humanly sanctified, to quote Chaim Zhitlovsky, an early secular Jewish thinker from more than a century ago. So these are all bits and pieces, these strategies from sports as religion that could be deployed to help people connect with each other. But the heart of our connection with each other needs to be something richer than just tactics that might work to connect people. We want to be more than just something to visit once in a while as a casual fan. After all, you can be a fan of a sporting event and go once a year or not even once a year in person. You might just go for the food and not the content. Well, let's consider another example of how to create community. What is it like when we sing together? The founding meeting of Kol Hadash, over now almost 25 years ago, was concluded with the singing of a song, the singing of Peace Be With You. It was sort of the anthem of that founding generation of our movement. Someone found a piano, and someone played it, and it was Lois Wallens who played it, and everyone sang it, and they didn't even need the sheets with the words. They knew it because it was who they were. It was a very healing and a powerful memory for that group of people founding the congregation out of a conflicting situation. So when we sing together, what are some aspects of singing that can teach us something about creating community? Well, one thing that helps to sing is to know the melody, even just the melody. And in fact, a lot of communities go through arguments over changing the melody, because the melody that we grew up singing that's the melody, the melody. Except we know that the same song can be sung to different melodies. We have Hine Matovu Manayim, or we have Hine Matovu Manayim. They're equally Hine Matov, they're just differently Hine Matov. So, which is the right melody? Does it change over time? We brought in a new melody for Am Yisrael Chai some years ago, and that's what we use every time. So things change over time, but we have to know the melody because you don't want to be singing two versions of Hine Matov with half of the room doing one and half of the room doing other. It's not going to work. Now, one of the other questions when you're singing together is, are you singing harmony or are you singing in unison? Singing in unison is everyone singing the same notes. Singing in harmony is singing in a coordinated way, but not the same notes that sound good together. And sometimes our building community is doing things in unison, but sometimes it's doing things in harmony, where we may have differing approaches to things or different emphasis at different times. As long as they're able to harmonize with each other, they can coexist and they can even create a more meaningful connection. When you're doing a good job in a choir singing in harmony with other people, it really is a marvelous and uplifting experience, and even for the audience to experience it is uplifting and meaningful. And then, of course, there's all the other variables of making a singing experience together successful beyond the melody. There's the rhythm and the pace. How fast are you singing? How slow are you going to sing? What's the cadence? What's the rhythm of which songs are sung when? When I get close to the high holidays, I start hearing melodies in my head that are common to that season. When it's Passover season, I start humming Chad Gadya to myself because it's just programmed. That time of year is the time to sing that song. There's also the inevitable challenge of clapping. When to clap, who claps, do you clap on 1-3, do you clap on 2-4, do the claps speed up or slow down? For some reason, with Peace Be With You at the end, it always speeds up and I don't know why. Well, that's one more complexity. So knowing the melody, knowing how to sing together, that's a crucial way of building community. Another layer is knowing the lyrics. Instead of Hava Nagila blah, 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 because we don't know the words, we in Jewish life at least have them written in the book so we can sing the actual words to the song. But once you actually have the words written down and you're not just guessing what the lyrics are, then the question becomes, what do I think about these lyrics? Does it matter what the words mean, or is it just singing a song and it doesn't really matter? It's another version of Bim Bam where the words don't matter. After all, you don't need the lyrics to be able to feel part of the song. One thing I do when I do a baby welcoming ceremony for a family of multiple heritages is I try to include songs that the Jewish family will know and the non-Jewish family can clap along to so they feel at least part of the experience. So they're not left out by singing an in-group song that the other group won't know. They should both be part of the in-group in that family dynamic. So do we sing the nigun, just the melody? Do we sing the lyrics and then have that added layer of connection? But then we also have to ask, what do we do with the words? If Oseh Shalom, he will make peace, doesn't speak to us as much as Na'aseh Shalom, we will make peace, that reflects our values and our approach to life. The meaning is not infinitely flexible for us. We have to have some sense of what we're saying. And then the inevitable challenge. New songs. It's not just a new melody, but now you've got a new melody and new words to learn, and maybe new harmonies to work together. If we only sing the golden oldies over and over again, does it get stale? If we only sing new songs, nobody knows what to sing, and we can't sing together. So we have to try to find that balance of the old and the new, and that's true for a community as well. There's always going to be multiple generations and multiple levels of experience with our community. People who are new to Kol Hadash and Humanistic Judaism and people who have been involved their entire lives for decades. Well, they're going to have different needs and different connections, and that's part of the old and the new balancing. It helps, if you want to sing together, to know each other and to know what size of community is a better connection for you. When I came to Kol Hadash, I wasn't used to having a large choir singing. And so my particular bias was towards either soloists or everybody. I was struck by the fact that in the services that Kol Hadash was using in 2003, before I came, only the songs that everybody sang got all the lyrics printed in the service booklets. If you wanted to know the lyrics to the other songs, you had to join the choir. Because the goal of those songs was for you to listen to the choir sing it. So you don't need the words, because they're the ones singing it. And what I felt was important was to make sure everybody has the words to all the songs, and if you want to sing it from the back corner of the room, then fine. On the other hand, once I experienced the Kol Hadash choir, I said, there's a place for this too. There's a place for the small group that has talent, that has training, that has experience and expertise, and can create that beautiful harmony that isn't 150 people singing in unison. There's also a place for 150 or 200 or 1,000 people singing in unison. That has a power too. But they're different. And they meet different needs, and they are appropriate at different times in different places. And so I realized there's a role for the soloist, there's a role for the choir, and there's a role for the whole community to sing. And the other parallel I learned from that experience is that there's a balance between leadership and membership. Communities are often successful, and choirs are often successful because they have talented leadership. There's a balance in the music side of a congregation between performance and participation. Sometimes you listen to the choir or the soloist, and sometimes you sing all together. They're different experiences. They're different kinds of community connections. Sometimes we're all hearing the same thing, sometimes we're all singing the same thing, and you need both to be successful. But most importantly, and this is the last lesson I have from singing together, you want to create something beautiful. You want to create lasting memories. You can imagine musical concerts that you've been to, opportunities you've had to sing together, even music used at a funeral service that was particularly meaningful and moving in that time and that place for that person. Music connects us to each other. It moves our emotions in ways that other things don't. And so whether we're singing together or listening together or experiencing together, we want to create something beautiful with the music just as with our community. We try to create experiences of beauty and meaning. I want to conclude with a memory of a particularly powerful music community moment. About 15 years ago, a woman released a historical book. It was an anthology of all of the secular Jewish schools and camps and communities that worked in the Midwest and across the United States from 1910 to 1960. She investigated the incorporation, she contacted people who had attended these camps, she got pictures from the camps and put it together. The book is like a doorstop. And I'll be honest, it's not a particularly interesting read because it's a lot of stats and figures and not as much narrative. But I went to the launch event for the book, and one of the interesting things with the book that she decided to do was she included a CD. You remember CDs, the things that play music? She included a CD of songs that were sung in those schools and those camps. She got a choir put together and she recorded them singing a number of these songs. When I went to the program, and I figured, these are people who attended these camps and these communities in the 1940s and the 1950s. I mean, how many people are really going to come to an event? The room was full because there were hundreds of people who had been to those camps and their children or even their grandchildren who went to find out what this person had discovered about that experience. And then, and this was the most moving part of the event, before the author began to speak, they played a piece of music from that CD. And it was a song that was a staple song at camps of all different varieties of secular Jewish camps. It was called Arum dem Fire. Around the fire, we sing songs. Arum dem Fire, wir singen Lieder. And when they started playing the music, dozens of people started singing. And they might not have sung that song for 60 years. But it was there. It was a memory. It was rooted in who they were. I got chills at that moment. And I realized that this is part of what we try to do when we create community, is to put those roots in people that in the future, when they hear a melody, or they see an image, or they think of a ritual, or they connect with a community, or it comes to a certain time of year, or they're moved to sing, they feel that connection, it enriches their lives. And that's ultimately what creates community. Well, again, I want to thank you for coming to our Shabbat service. I'll thank Bill and Alex for the oneg we're going to enjoy in a moment. I'd like to invite our musicians back to lead us in our closing song, which is on the last page of the service booklet on page 10. It is again, Am Yisrael Chai. So you've heard it once before. Now we can all sing it together.
That's what I was going to say. Yisrael, Yisrael, Ami Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai v'Kayam. Yisrael, Yisrael, Ami Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai v'Kayam. Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai v'Kayam. Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai v'Kayam.
Once again, I'd like to wish you a Shabbat Shalom, and please wish Shabbat Shalom to the people near you.